Good morning, and I want to talk to you about the political spectrum. And for all the things that I'm going to be showing you, you can find them on my website. If you go down to the part of the website that says Unit 1, and then Lesson 4, Political Parties. And the thing that we're going to be talking about is the political spectrum. And a lot of the times we talk about the political spectrum in terms of a line, but in this case, we're going to be talking about it in the form of a circle. Now, one thing you want to notice here about the political spectrum is that it goes from top to bottom. And one of the questions on the quiz is, why is it that the liberal and conservative labels are at the top and the radical and reactionary are at the bottom? Well, if you look at the very top here, it says more comfortable with democratic forms of government, and down here it says most comfortable with autocratic forms of government. And if you think about that, what that means is that this is a society or societies or these are philosophies where people feel that the dictatorship, one ruler's the best, and up here, and they have the power, and down up here they have democratic rulers. So in that case, people have the power. If you look over here, it says the well-being of the individual takes precedence over the well-being of the state. Down here, it says the well-being of the state take precedence over the well-being of the individual. So what that means is, and we're going to look at examples here, that, with these groups, radicals, an example I used is communes and communist China, and with reactionary Nazi Germany. So, with that leadership, like Hitler would be the leader of Nazi Germany, Mao Zedong would be the leader of China, communist China. And up here, we have, what we think about in our society with Democrats and Republicans. Conservatives are typically Republican with people like Mitt Romney and John McCain and George Bush. Liberals are more of the Hillary Clinton, President Obama, people like that. Tom Wolf right now, our governor. So with this, again, the individual is more important than the state, the well-being. So with that, we're talking about people that, while we may disagree, we don't, we all have rights and we all try to live in the system together. And this, sometimes you'll have to give up some of your individual pieces to better the whole. So let's go through these labels and and then see what we talk about there. I also have other materials in here, and if you go to the Google Drive here, you can look at other things, including the PowerPoint that I did. And we're going to go down here. And what I have here, it loads. Okay, there's a lot of stuff. But on the left-hand side, as you can see here, I broke down the labels into certain categories, where one ends and the other begins. So with more skeptical than believing, what that means is you can't prove it, so you're not sure if it's true. You don't think it's true. An example I used was for, ghosts or aliens. I don't think they exist, so I don't believe it. They're true. Can't prove it. I even said God. It's a liberal philosophy to say I can't prove it, so I don't believe it's true. Other labels looks to the future for inspiration. We're inspired by what's to come, maybe technology, iPads, so on. Prefers innovation to tradition. Traditions are great, but whatever's coming down the pipe that's new is going to be better than what came before. Now, this one, the state's obliged to teach ethics, is complicated, and we're going to talk it. If you look up here, you could see for conservative, the state's obliged to teach public morals, and so that's different. So the question is, what is the difference between ethics and morals? And the difference is that with ethics, it's the idea that what society believes to be right or wrong is ethical, and with the morals, that's more of a religious spin. So they could line up and be very similar, but they can be different. And an example I use here is abortion. It's not unethical to get an abortion, but it is immoral for many religions because people feel that that's killing life. Also for liberals, civil rights takes precedence over property rights. So as we've been learning, civil rights are very important, and our rights of freedom of expression and judicial rights is very important, and that's a liberal thing. All right, so ultra-liberal believes in open dissemination of information, WikiLeaks and Edward Snowden, these people that have leaked government information. That is something that is an ultra-liberal thing. The government gets mad at these people, and these people are sharing government information that the government wouldn't like shared, and that's openly sharing information. Ultra-liberal idea also is evaluation is the preferred means of instruction, where testing, and I'm going to compare this with indoctrination under arch-conservative, but evaluation is preferred means of instruction, where in order to learn you must test. Ultra-liberal, ethical society more important than moral society. Again, putting religion to the side and focusing on societies, what believes to be right or wrong is an ultra-liberal idea. And minimum restrictions on civil rights. Again, all the rights that we could possibly imagine should be given to us. Now, the the evaluation down here versus indoctrination, that's different. Indoctrination is different than evaluation. I'll come to that under arch-conservative. So for radical, nurture is a primary arbiter of advancement. Okay, also prefers homogeneous population. And nature versus nurture is this idea that you could be nurtured, you could be taught, you could be formed and shaped to advance. And I used communist China. And in a communist society, they use training, but they kind of put people where they're strong. If you're strong in an area like math, maybe you'll be an engineer. And they teach you how to advance in that career. Also, in a communist society, all the differences, heterogeneous is great because that would fill in all the needs of the society. Thirdly, maximum control over property rights. So you don't own anything in a communist society. You don't have property rights. The government controls things, and they give you plots of land and things like that. So that's what that means. And state-sponsored secular ideology. If you look at secular, it's non-religious, so kind of the state decides what's right and wrong. Moving on to conservative, these are all opposites now, so more believing than skeptical. So if you can't prove it, but you believe in it. God, ghosts, UFOs, right? And that's just an idea. Also looks at the past for inspiration. What happened before was better. People that lived during World War II are the greatest generation. The chalkboard was, greatest learning technology. The state's obliged to teach public morals. This is like school prayer, conservative idea. Prefers tradition to innovation. It's like people that are afraid of new technology and computers. They think, what used to work, has always worked, is the best. And property rights are more important than civil rights. And we talked about this during the video before, how economic, stay out of my business, let me run my business and do all of that, and don't tax me, don't regulate. So that's what that is. Moving on to arch-conservative. Again, this is more like when you think back to with terrorism and under George Bush and Dick Cheney, where they would always want to restrict things and not tell the people. We can't really tell you what's going on because we don't want to give that information to the terrorists. That's what it's that about. Indoctrination, and we watched a clip called Jesus Camp where kids were going through this religious camp and it was pretty intense. But this is the idea where you go through pledging a fraternity or a sorority, or going through the military training where everyone kind of gets involved in everything and goes through and makes it through together. Instead of being tested to show that you've learned, you kind of go through the process to show you that you've learned. And I know in the military you kind of do have tests, but everyone is able to go through if they're pulled through with their teammates. So there's that. Moral society, more important than ethical society. That's another piece there where we're talking about morals more important than ethics. And then again, minimum restrictions on property rights, another piece that's the property rights takes precedent. Now, reactionary. Nature is a primary arbiter of advancement. This is like Hitler Germany. So the way you're born is just the way it is, and you can't move ahead unless you're like blonde-haired, blue-eyed, if we're talking about the Aryan race in German, Nazi Germany. Again, going along with Nazi Germany, homogeneous population. Homogeneous means same. Homo means same. So this idea that one race is the best would fit in with reactionary. Maximum control over civil rights. Again, you don't have a lot of rights. You're told what to do. And state-sponsored sectarian, sectarian being religious, that means that a state-run religion is what's the best. So that's a little bit of everything that we talked about. And if you want to go back to the website there, you will see that there are other things. Let me try to go back here that we did look at. This would reactionary hate groups. This is an example of reactionary groups. This is an example we did with the radical a commune, and we compared that, how that's radically different from what we know about education. For arch conservative, we looked at a clip on Netflix called Jesus Camp. We looked at the beginning. And for ultra liberal, we looked at a chapter from Michael Moore's movie called Sicko, in which he showed what healthcare is like in France and showed how it was drastically different, including house calls, and you can take all the sick time and all of that, and it showed how it's ultra liberal. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, don't let me hesitate to ask me. And good luck with everything. I hope this helps.